Hello everyone, I'm PrimeTime Moff and I am joined with my wonderful co-host, Oddimus Prime. Now, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us, we want to welcome you to our weekly show, Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. A show in the year of the anniversary of the Transformers, 40 years, which is incredible. We are going to look back through each year of the vast history in detail. Now, if you're new to the show, every week we will cover different aspects of it: toy line, cartoon, comics, films, depending on what's out, video games, perhaps. But we'll kind of delve into little aspects of the year that we're talking about. We'll have special episodes throughout the year, like today's episode, where we'll do something a little bit different rather than being in a specific year. And when we do the years, we will mainly stick to Western coverage. Not always UK, we kind of go more Western because there'll be a lot of things that weren't released in the UK that we want to talk about. So, before we begin, just ask you to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications to keep up to date with the channel as we release more episodes. And remember, there'll be weekly additional small content episodes as well, just to kind of fill out. So, I want to say firstly, hello, Simon.
Hello there, Graham. How are you doing today?
I'm very well indeed. And today we're also going to talk a bit about something different. We're not doing a specific year this week, as last week was TFN Minicon. Sadly, Simon wasn't there, but we thought we'd have a little bit of a chat about Minicon and what was involved. So we're going to pass over to Simon, and he's going to almost interview me and ask me some questions about the convention.
Okay, so first of all, let's have a quick go about what actually the TFN Minicon was. So technically, we're not one of the questions you asked me to ask, but I thought a bit of background would be a good, useful thing. So yeah, TFN Minicon is the smaller, slightly more intimate version of the TFNation UK convention. There's two TFNation conventions per year now. There's the Minicon, which takes place, well, currently in Manchester. Is it in Manchester again next year, or have they not announced it yet?
They've not announced it. It was in Manchester last year. And one of the funny bits we were talking about beforehand was it was announced for the same hotel this year, and then they had to move it, which is because the hotel was getting renovated. But yeah, Manchester last year, Manchester this year, potentially different location or potentially more next year, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, Manchester again this year. A one-day event, which is different, isn't it?
Yeah. I haven't actually managed to get to a Minicon as yet, which is sad, but next year hopefully. But yeah, so it's a smaller scale event. It's a one-day event, whereas TFNation, the main convention, is 2.5, 3 days. So it's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and is in Birmingham as opposed to Manchester, and all in a nice contained hotel situation, and is all excellent fun. So tell us a little bit about this year. What was there? What was the hall like? What was the layout and all that sort of stuff?
So the Minicon feels more like old auto assembly. So for Andy, it was auto assembly. It was kind of one hall, your traders on one side, your speaking area, seating, and another side. Now, it is a much smaller venue. I reckon between 200 and 300 attendees, probably to the lower end of that. And this year it was mega popular. It sold out within like 48 hours. And it just shows there is an appetite for these smaller ones. So unlike TFNation, the big one, where it's people treat it like a full time away. You know, we're going this year. We're going Thursday to Monday, treating it like a proper break. And this is certainly aimed more at a one dayer. Just turn up, buy some toys, listen to some people, and leave. There are people who stay over like ourselves and others, but it's certainly not quite as busy as other ones. The hall itself, so the hall being different one from last year, I want to kind of talk about the change. So last year was cool. It was half the venue was set up with stalls, and another half just beside a bar was a pile of chairs and then a speaking area, but it's quite narrow. It was long but quite narrow, and then the space between the vendors last year was not much. If you had one person, two-person deep at each stall across each other, you were then struggling to get through, and that's a challenge. TFN is very focused about accessibility, and I think that was a struggle for them. And they talked about that this year at the closing panel, that they had made a big effort to fix that. And certainly this year, we when you walked into the venue, we were the first stall you would see, and we were across from Toy Fu. And Toy Fu is always busy, but it never felt that packed way. There was a good space between the two, so it was very well laid out, very easy to walk around. So you had stalls when you first walked in. You had stalls of vendors. Then you turned around, you had a kind of forge area plus autograph area. Turned on it again, you had more traders, and then you had the stage area for them to do their panels. And one panel that was scheduled to be on, but sadly didn't take place, was the Andy Cousins one. That was the one that I was hoping to sneak away for, but sadly we lost Andy recently, which was a shame. But they had a lovely memory book and stuff, and it meant that there was a kind of, it felt like an Andy gap, but they had a competition to design an Action Master, and that was going to be there, and Andy was going to decide the winner. But sadly it didn't happen. But yeah, the hall was cool. Toy Fu is always great. Some newer vendors that I hadn't seen before, and I'm going in there chatting to them about what do they do, where else do they trade at. I may have signed up one or two to TF UK Con. I don't know if that's frowned upon when you're at TFN, but I certainly got one confirmed, TFE. I think it's Toys for Everyone, it stands for. He was really friendly, really nice, so he's going to make an effort to come. So, no, it was really good, and a good mix of stalls as well. You've got some G1, you've got I get a vendor who was selling old kind of classic vintage stuff. You've then got like Geek Station with Sven Harvey selling a mix of kind of newer stuff, Toy Fu doing a bit of everything, us doing our third party. You had a really cool one, Simon. That was a 3D printed one,
Oh, yeah.
and they had, which I did so well in not caving on. They had a 3D large ass like laser beak. I
Oh,
don't even know what
nice.
scale it would have been. It must have been at least half a meter wide, but it was a
Wow.
fully transforming laser beak, transformed it like the original. I mean, it's not a complex transformation,
Yeah.
but 3D printed. It was outstanding. It was very impressive. So no, a good mix, and some nice forged ones as well. So a good mix of traders in the hall.
Nice. So you slightly touched on obviously Andy Cousins, who sadly passed away. But who were the other guests? I assume there were panels and that sort of malarkey.
Exactly, there was, yeah. So there was Jack Lawrence, a kind of good TFN regular artist, and Chris Carter, again a regular TFN artist, but that doesn't change the fact that they're great to listen to and hear some of their different kind of views on things, how things work. They also had, oh, and I can't remember his name, not a guest so much as they had. So at Toy Fu every year they do the kind of, and I know you've got one of them, the recast G1 mini bots, recolored in various ones. So this year, for example, they were done as the colors of the Centurions, which was really cool. And you can win them through raffles and different bits. So they had the person behind that coming up and doing a conversation. And what I liked about the hall this year was I could hear the interviews at the stall, whereas last year I couldn't hear anything. So, I sneaked away for a little bit last year, but I wanted to listen to stuff this year, and I was able to pick up some stuff. So they had Robeson, for example, chatting, and it was good to hear stuff that, I've not heard Robeson speak because they were at Minicon last year, too busy, and then they were at TFN last year, and it was really too busy. So it was nice to hear the Robeson panel to an extent of it anyway, where we were kind of busy packing up. So that was good.
As a brief aside, in I think our second episode, we discussed this here Warpath that I acquired at TFNation last year, and we were trying to figure out who it was, and foolishly, it didn't even twig. But this is in the style of Big Convoy, which coincidentally, in my book, makes him a convoy, so a prime. So therefore, he fits right nicely into my collection. So that was a nice, happy accident.
It was
Anyway,
quite a funny realization when you messaged me to tell me I've realised who this is, and actually perfect for your collection. If it'd been a Megatron, that would be you. Had to throw him out, but he gets to stay in the collection now.
exactly. I'm pleased with that. And I saw his stuff on Instagram the other day, and I meant to make a note of his name and completely forgot to do so. So we'll have that as an addendum in another episode, I'm sure. So who were the other traders that were there?
So we had Arcade Prints, who were doing the 3D printed stuff. Bear's Toy Cave, Beyond Technology. Who else was there? Geek Station, Starbase Toys, Toy Fu, obviously, and somebody called PrimeTime Toyz.
Oh, never heard of
Don't know
them.
who they are.
Yeah.
And then T for I think I'm sure it's Toys for Everyone, the TFE,
Yeah, that sounds right.
or TF40. He was really friendly. As I say, it's going to be coming to TFN. But yeah, no, it was good. It's nice to have a mix, and I've listened to the team behind TFN talking about that, and see if all you had was vintage, and listen, I've been to kind of conventions like that where it's only kind of vintage stuff. It doesn't really suit for everybody. If you look at what you had 3D printed custom stuff. You had fella and his kid selling off kind of his own collection stuff. His prices were brilliant. You had some newer stuff. You had some third party, obviously with ourselves, but you had a proper mix, and the fandom's brilliant because there's so much. There's a little bit for everybody, And we were chatting in the bar after it last week, and somebody was asking me, "What do you collect?" And I don't really class myself as anything anymore. I used to say I was a mainline collector. I didn't really do vintage. I didn't really do third party until Primetime Greg sold me on this idea of joining the business and
Damn it, Greg.
just taking all the money. I make no money. I just make toys, which I'm not complaining about. But it's great because there's a little bit of everything. So I now just view myself as I just collect cool toys. It doesn't matter to me whether it's and I've picked up core class figures recently that I would never have picked up before because they wouldn't have fitted in what I was collecting, and some of them are outstanding. So I now am very much in there. I just collect cool things. So interestingly, last week all I picked up was vintage, but it's nice to go in there and you can go in and go, right, I'm going to go in vintage. Toy Fu is amazing because it's got a range of everything we'll talk about for the rest of the year. They've got a little bit of everything. They've got, you've got your original G1 stuff, you've got your G1.5, you've got Beast Wars, you've got RID. They have such an array of toys. And see, just from a enjoyment factor of seeing different things, like that's great fun. And then the vintage folk, and what did I see that I went round to Sven's table, and he was selling the pop pin badges. And I said to him, "You're marketing them wrong." He's like, "What do you mean?" I had taken my Soundwave pop pin badge and made it my kilt pin because I like to wear a kilt whenever these conventions. It became my new kilt pin. And I was saying, you should be marketing this a little differently. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a really nice mix. And for something so small to have such a good mix was absolutely fantastic. Really impressed. So, TFN are really well structured, really well organized, know what they're doing, and it just shows. It shows, especially in a mini one, when you're seeing them more. They're not really away. They're in the hall the entire time because both aspects of the convention are in it. So it's really good to see them kind of working away and just so chill and so friendly and so helpful. It was an absolute pleasure to be there.
Yeah, I really hope I can come along next year. I nearly got roped in this year, but unfortunately, I had other commitments. Irritatingly, I definitely think I would have preferred the toy option. I think one of my favorite things at all of these conventions, I mean, some people go for panels, some people go for the social aspect. For me, it's always been, well, the social aspect is a big part of it, but wandering around the dealer hall is always my favorite thing. It's not even like some years I haven't been able to afford to get a huge amount of stuff. Always end up with
Yeah,
buying more stuff than I can afford, but that's by the by. But you know, it's just wandering around and it's seeing all of those things that you don't get to see if you don't have them in your collection already.
yeah.
You know, like as you say, G1 all the way up to absolute modern figures on display on a stand that you can pick up and have a quick fondle with, as long as you don't spend your entire time hogging the toy food stall so nobody can buy anything. You know, it's good to have a look at this stuff and one of
100%
the
agree.
one of the big things that we're about with this channel is talking about experiencing toys and going to one of these things. You do get your mitts on some stuff you never would do necessarily ever again, unless you bought it. But yeah, that's always a really really big thing for me. And also the Forge. We didn't really touch on the Forge. It's a big thing at TF Nation. The Forge is the area where anybody who crafts something or makes their own merchandise, be it posters or comics or pin badges or little plush things, pillows, t-shirts, you name it, people are selling something that they've created themselves. It's like a craft fair, but all about
It really is.
Transformers or geekdom. And it's always really fascinating to wander around. I always try and buy something from as many different stands as possible just to support these
Agree.
creatives.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. And it's really good that they had a mini representation of it at the Minicon. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything about
Can I tell you about my toys I
yes.
bought? Because
Oh yeah, no,
toys are
yeah, do
important.
that.
Like.
Well, that's
So
true.
I said, I said I'd only wait, but you know, last week was really challenging. Aimed at that follows our social media will see that Primetime Greg's taking a little bit of a step back for the time being, and that started with Minicon. So he didn't come along to Minicon this year. Instead, I took my wife, which was an eye opener. She got to meet the gang, and I'm still allowed to go to the future one, so that's a positive. Um, so it was myself, Paddy, and then I talked Andy from Transformers the Show to come in and help. I did give him a T-shirt that said "Not Greg," so I just took Greg's T-shirt and put a sticker on it because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy him a new T-shirt. So because of that, I didn't get around the venue itself to look at other stalls till probably about 1 o'clock, and I think the things I was actually after probably had went by that point. So I was kind of picking the bones at points. So one of the things I did pick up, however, and it's been on my mind to do for many years, and it's a fairly easy thing to do. So as a kid, my three favourite kind of small bits of this franchise were the Insecticons, the Dinobots, and the Minibots. I had all the Insecticons as a kid. I had one of the Dinobots, and I had a couple of the Minibots. I got new versions of my Insecticons years ago. I completed the Dinobots numerous years ago, and I always said I need to complete these mini bots. And actually, some of them needed to be upgraded because they were my original childhood ones and they weren't great. So this year at TFN, I picked up 4 mini bots, which completed my mini bot collection. There was only 2 I was missing, to be fair. And one of them was Warpath, which I had as a kid, but had went walkie, so I got an Outback for my very first time, and a new Warpath, improved my wind charger, and my sea spray. So I now have a complete collection of minibots, which is fantastic. And then I picked up only my second ever Pretender. So I picked up Fangry, not Fangry, Skullgrin when I was away last year. So this time round I picked up Octopunch, which also then meant I felt I needed another little mini Octopunch. That's on a stall because I thought, why not? So I picked up an Octopunch. Very, very, very impressed. Absolutely have to say the Pretenders, and we'll talk about in the future episodes, but I kind of fell out of love, not out of love with Transformers, but the newer stuff that weren't that kind of original, really looking close to being a real toy car, for example, didn't really click for me when I was young. And now I look back and go, I want to shake myself and go, why didn't you love Headmasters? Why didn't you love Power Masters? Why didn't you love Pretenders? What? what was I thinking? No, because as soon as I see them now, I'm just like, oh, these are actually fantastic. So I had made a conscious bet that I was going to pick up some of these kind of toys that I hadn't experienced before. You know, this YouTube show or this conversation is certainly helping open up doors to things I want to experience. My wife not so happy about that, but my wallet's certainly not happy about it. But Octopunch was my absolute favourite pickup from last weekend. I'm very, very happy with it.
It's a
Very
great
impressed
figure.
with it. So yeah, that was my pickups. I did pick up a couple of other things from RJ, our friend RJ, sold me a few things with a drink in me, and I picked up a couple of bits. But they were making a real proper pickups from the actual convention. I don't really count the things you do in the bar afterwards or pre-deals, but wandering around, only picked up the kind of two wee bits because it was a bit crazy for me personally. But it was there's so much actually I could have bought. So many things I looked and went, oh, that's really nice. It makes me so excited for TFN this year. Like I'm going with taking a proper decent sized budget this year. And I'm going to properly try and enjoy it. I think last year was a bit challenging, but it was our first year trading that we were so focused on that I didn't really spend enough time looking at other stalls. Although Greg will disagree with you, disagree with me. I'm looking forward to the TFN this year. Oh, and the other thing I picked up was a beautiful Soundwave birthday T-shirt that will also be available for sale at TF UK Con and potentially at TFN, depending on how stocks go. But yeah, a good wee haul for a mini haul for a mini con. So I was really happy with what I actually managed to pick up.
Do we want to just very quickly go over the guests that were announced for the main TF Nation?
Yeah, yes, I was sitting. So we were packing up, and the Robeson panel's on, and they announced that Robeson have sponsored to bring over Greg Berger.
Nice.
Now, Greg Berger was there 2019. Really, really happy with Greg Berger. I got to meet him. I'm hoping that you probably did as well. I have a cheeky little Grimlock sign, but he was so friendly. We've talked about this before. I judge people on how they deal with my kids, and he was fantastic with both my boys. So Greg Berger coming is freaking awesome. A huge part of the franchise and a good get from Robeson's point of view.
Yeah, no, he's awesome and does voice some of the best, most interesting characters. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that guy. And of course, the Robosen Grimlock is all new voice recordings for him. So wonder why they sponsored him. Um, so I'm just going to go. We've got good old Jack Lawrence again, which is by no means a bad thing. He's always very entertaining. He's an awesome guy, and his artwork and he's just awesome. So yeah, never sad to see him. I'm just going to go through. I'll leave the big one till last. So there's a guy called Michael Charles Hall who I am not massively aware of, but he's a writer on lots of the G1 cartoons. So I'm sure he'll be
You should be.
really interesting.
Surely you should love this man.
Well, he did write The
He wrote
Return of Optimus Prime. Yeah,
exactly like
I was getting to that. I was getting to that. But yes, he's responsible for writing The Return of Optimus Prime and getting Optimus Prime back into the cartoon for those episodes that he was saying that. We got The Return of Optimus Prime at the end of season 3, and then season 4, Optimus Prime was barely in it,
no.
and then it ended. Anyway, still awesome. And then, then I'm going to try not to completely ruin this. Catherine Kavari, I think, is how it looks like you pronounce it. I think that sounds right. She's an actress and does voices on plenty of fun things, including Twitch from Transformers Earthspark and Miss Marvel in the Avengers cartoons. Ms. Marvel, not to be confused with Miss Marvel. And finally, the big one. I'll let you do this one.
So this is the one that properly I squealed with excitement. I'm not going to lie. I purposely bought a figure for this on the hope that this would eventually happen at one point. So I'm very glad. But David Kay, the wonderful voice of Beast Wars Megatron. I know he's the Unicorn trilogy, and I know people are excited about that. I don't care about that. Beast Wars Megatron is one of my absolute favorite characters. And then on something that'll make you excited, once I meet him, I will complete my, or not complete because there's obviously new ones getting added. I have then met Optimus Prime for the vast majority of times. So I've done Cullen, I've done Neil Kaplan, I've done Primal, Gary Chopkins, I think his name there. So once I do David Kay, because he does the wonderful voice of Optimus Prime and Transformers Animated, which is me and my eldest son's favourite cartoon to watch together. So I am so excited to meet David Kay. That would probably been my, if you'd asked me any actor to come, that'd have been my pick. So I am over the moon with this one. How are you feeling about it?
Oh yeah, no, David Kay, it's awesome, absolutely awesome. No disrespect to the others, but David Kay is the big draw. I mean, if I wasn't going anyway, that would probably have tipped me over the edge. Okay, it's not Cullen, which I still need to get back at some point, hopefully. As I'm still yet to meet the guy. But David Kay, yeah, Beast Wars Megatron is just so amazing, iconic, and funny, and just a brilliant characterization. And yes, the second best person at saying yes at the end of sentences after Death's Head. But of course, yes, as you say, animated Prime as well. So I'll have to get some stuff signed by him. He's just, if he's anything like how he comes across in other things I've seen him in, he'll be amazing to see and chat. So I'll have to abandon the stall a few times, I think.
The good thing is Greg doesn't really like autographs, so he just get ditched. He's not bored with autographs so much. So no, I am supremely excited. For both of them, as I say, Greg Berger's really cool.
Yeah.
And I've got ideas. We've obviously chatted offline about kind of ideas of what to get signed. So I am very much looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think that about wraps up this exciting episode. Anything else you want to say, Mr. Moff?
No, the only other bit is, this is the next TFN is not until August, but there is another convention coming up in May with only a handful of tickets left. It will absolutely sell it before the convention. And I kind of mentioned this throughout that we had secured another vendor. Final plans are going in place for the trading area, but that event is TFUK Con coming up in May. Full details available on primetimetoyz.co.uk/TFUK Con. Simon, you'll be there. I'll be there. PrimeTime Greg will be there. PrimeTime Paddy will be there. So it's an opportunity for us four to get together and have fun. But that's going to be a convention. That one I'm really looking forward to because I get the absolute privilege of interviewing people like Simon Furman and Lisa Levin. So I am really looking forward to that one.
It's going to be awesome.
Great. It's great just to get together with people, they say the social aspect. Bringing my wife along was really cool. Getting her getting to see it, and she said to me, "I get it. I get why you enjoy these so much." When I used to go before, when I take the family, it wasn't a social aspect. It was just me and the family. I didn't really interact with people. I really struggled to say hello to people, So it's a totally different experience now. So she got to see that. So that was cool. But yeah, it was really good. A massive thank you to the TFN crew, making us feel so welcome, so helpful. Dave Wallace saved our bacon first thing on the Saturday morning as well. But yeah, an absolute pleasure. And they did tease that they are looking at other venues. They said they'd love to do one in Scotland. That'd make my life so much easier.
Not so much mine.
And then no, not worried about that. So hopefully, I think it sold out so quick this year. There is clearly appetite for smaller ones, so I think it'd be good to have, a smaller one further south and a smaller one further north, and have kind of three. I think that would be the kind of perfect way to do it. 3 different ones, 3 different locations that kind of gives everybody a chance to get to one of these events, because everybody should go to TFN at some point in their life.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Okay, well, that's it from us for this week. Tune in next week for our episode on 1988, which I nearly forgot. So yes, this is Oddimus Prime, Simon, signing off. Goodbye to you, Mr.
PrimeTime
Moff.
Moff. Yeah, PrimeTime Moff signing off. And remember, like, subscribe, and click that notification button
Yes.
to make sure you keep ahead of the curve with when our new episodes come up.
And let us know if you're listening to this, because we're trying to make that happen at the moment. So, yes, comments, please, comments. Excellent. Thank you very much. See you next week.
See you next week.